Hey, it's Amethyst Virgo. For this video, I'm going to be talking about signs of when a sign, a zodiac sign, is no longer interested in you, if they're upset with you, if they're angry with you, and maybe you can also see this in yourself. And so this is not in particular just about the sun sign. You can definitely look at this through the moon, through the ascendant, any type of dominant energy within a person. This is not a bashing video. I don't really engage in that type of conversation. However, we do sometimes have to be real, and everything has pros and cons. And so when someone is done with you, when they have severed ties, when there is no longer a relationship, or someone in your personal life, a friend, a family member, once that situation is no longer as consistent as it used to be, like what are some signs you can see by the zodiac sign that someone that there's something's not quite the same anymore? How do we look at that through our lens, and also in the lens and the perspective maybe of other people as well? So as you may know, I have a Through the Sign series, and the Through the Sign series are when I go through a topic and I go through each sign, each house. I also have the signs through the houses if you want to check that out, where we talk about, you have Scorpio in your chart, what house? And if you have Libra, what house is it? And what might that mean? As just a glimpse for you to better understand how to interpret. Now, with this topic, we're talking about, when do you know when a sign is done with you? Now, whether we are talking about relationships, whether we are talking about a breakup, we're talking about a friend, we're talking about a family member, how do we know when a sign? So I'm not in general talking just about the sun sign. If you are a person who, maybe you're a Libra sun, but you have a whole Scorpio stellium and you're a Scorpio moon, you might relate more to Scorpio energy. So just take a listen, think about your dominant placements, and then we're going to jump into some of this. Now, this is quite general, okay? This is not a chart interpretation, it's not a reading. I'm just giving some of my thoughts based off my knowledge of the energy. So let's go in order. How do you know when Aries is done with you? One, for an Aries person to give, it does sometimes require Aries to use a different skill set, because remember, Aries is the sign of self. This does not mean there aren't Aries who have wonderful relationships with people or who have great, connections, but it does mean that Aries people do tend to have to do a little bit more self-reflection if they, if this person can do it, and have some self-awareness, because even when Aries sometimes is doing something for someone, they sometimes have to stop and think, wait, is this what they really want, or is this what I want for them? Aries, so you can have Aries people that do take the time to think about their partner or their friend or their sister, whoever, because a self-aware Aries person knows they put themselves first, right? So they have to be really cognizant of putting in the extra effort to consider you. Now, you'll know they're done with you where they literally do not consider your feelings anymore, when they do not check in with you first. And Aries doesn't need to check in with you all that much anyway, but a lot of them will do that out of consideration, right? It sometimes will pain an Aries person to have to collaborate, because Aries energy, fire energy, just wants to move, just wants to move, just wants to go. Why do I have to wait for you? So you'll know that Aries is done. Sorry, that noise is my other video. It's done. Done processing. You'll know when Aries is done with you when they literally, you see the selfishness exude off of them. Now, again, my chart, my channel is not a bashing channel. I don't have time for that. I want to dive into the knowledge and the planetary influence over these things. So this is not a bashing, but what I'm saying is that is what you're going to see. And all of us have the potential to show a negative side of ourselves. It just is what it is, right? And it could mean maybe that person deserves to see that negative side. Maybe that person has hurt you in some way. So Aries is done with you when you start to realize they are completely self-absorbed. They are done with you. And it's easy for Aries to do that because they already are the sign of self. This already is a person who knows what they personally need and want out of life. And so the minute the relationship is over, or the minute you have done something and they can't forgive anymore, you're going to notice it's similar in a way to Scorpio. We'll talk about Scorpio in a moment, because they both are ruled by Mars. But with an Aries energy, it's when you typically are going to see they don't include you at all in anything. They don't care to include you in anything. They are not in any way attempting to involve you in their life anymore. They are leaving you out. They're going out without you, right? Let's say you live with the person. They're going out without you. They're going somewhere they're not even thinking to to let you know, right? Aries energy, and you could see, depending on what we're talking about, maybe a Sun, Venus, Aries person. Maybe they're already in a new relationship. Air, fire energy can move fast. Now, that's not smart because if you were in a long term marriage or relationship, you might want to process if it's over. But sometimes what you'll see with Aries energy, it jumps to the next. Now, you can sometimes have people who do that. You do require a little bit of self reflection after your relationship ends, or at least that's my opinion. But that's what you're typically going to see. When Aries is done with you, there's no more concentrated effort to involve you in anything anymore because they already probably didn't want to in the first place, because Aries energy can be extremely independent. That does not mean they're not capable of giving love and affection and things like that, but it means that for the Aries person who has chosen to do that for you, it is a consciousness that they have to do. And so when they're done with you, it's like, I don't need to do this anyway. This is not a part of my nature anyway. Now, when Taurus is done with you, so when Taurus is done with you, it's usually going to mean there's no more room for you to be involved in anything that they are trying to build and produce. Okay, so let's say it's a Taurus friend. Let's say it's a Taurus friend, and you guys are trying to, you have maybe you guys throw parties together, or they come. Let's say this. A lot of people do these like event planning things. It's a career, but I know people who it's not their career, but they do it. So I don't want to, not minimizing it if it's your career, because it's a real career, event planning. But I know other people who aren't actually event planners, but they still for a fee will do something for their friends and loved ones, right? So I'm giving an example. So let's say a Taurus person has this, they throw events, and you're the caterer, right? They use you to cater these events. And let's say you have a falling out with your friend, and then the person is still going to do what they need to do, but they no longer need you. Okay? They are no longer seeing your value. You don't matter in that sense anymore. So when Taurus no longer includes you in the building up of something, when Taurus no longer invites you in the process of building something up together, they no longer care. Okay? If you are in a relationship and the two of you, there's something you like to do together. You want to go, every other month you like to go to a certain place, right? Or they know that you like something and they'll go with you because they understand that's something that you enjoy. Well, if the relationship is no longer building up, they don't see the point in doing that anymore. Taurus is about pleasantries to a certain extent. Venus rules. There is a stubbornness there. So it's not that they're going to be confrontational necessarily with it, but what you'll notice is that Taurus just stops giving energy towards something. They just stop doing it. Remember, this is Venus rule. Taurus moves at a slower pace because it is investing in what it really wants, right? What it really truly values. And so once Taurus doesn't value you anymore, the friendship, whether they're done with you, you might not get a text message back and forth telling you that it's done. You might just see from what they no longer need you for. And it's not that they were using you, but it's like they no longer feel the need to invest in building you. They no longer care, right? They're no longer asking you, oh, like, how did that go? Oh, do you need any, help with that? Or, oh, I know a resource for this, right? They no longer care, right? And it's a stubborn nature. They no longer even try to, see where you're coming from. So as you can know, Taurus energy, the bull, the stubborn energy, it's fixed, right? It's fixed energy with that. So a Taurus person can have diplomatic, traits, right? So we're not going to say, oh, all Tauruses are like X, Y, and Z. But what you can sometimes see is that they make an effort to understand where you're coming from. They have to borrow a little bit from Libra, right? But when Taurus no longer is trying to compromise with you, they're no longer trying to make things easy, because Taurus likes easy. Taurus doesn't feel like all this drama and conflict. But when you start to realize, wait, Taurus is no longer trying to be, collaborative with me. They're no longer trying to come to a common ground. They're no longer trying to simplify things. They're letting us argue. They're letting there be tension. They no longer want to deal with you. They no longer care. They're not investing in you anymore. They're not building with you anymore. So that means if there's anything that you used to do together, they're going to find a replacement for that. Okay? They no longer are going to be inviting you in the process of them developing something. And if there was any type of money exchange, or if they were helping you out, that's going to stop. That's going to stop. Okay. Right. So you could have, oh, this person was so generous, and all of a sudden they stop. You're dating someone and they're helping you pay off your student loans. Well, now they're stopped. They stopped doing that. They're no longer in that. They're no longer building into this relationship. They're no longer investing into this friendship. There's no longer anything tangible that they want to involve you with. That is a sign they're no longer into you anymore, or there's some type of rift. Maybe you can resolve it, maybe you can't. There's no longer that. Gemini. If a Gemini starts giving you one word answers, or Virgo maybe even too, it's a wrap. Because Gemini is going to love to talk and talk, whether it's in person or text. We do have quiet Gemini energy people in the world, the more studious kind. They still tend to be kind of texters, right? They still are people who can be a bit verbose. And because Gemini, that's their way of connecting to you. It's through the mind, it's through ideas, it's through the words, not always through these sentiments, right? And so when Gemini ceases to communicate with you, if your best friend stops sending you random stories via text, if you go to a social event and that person you thought you were cool with doesn't talk to you, if also, let's say your sibling has a milestone and you find out from someone else and they didn't tell you, there could be a rift. They're no longer communicating the things that are exciting them the most with you. And when that happens, that means there is some rift. This person no longer wants to be in your company, no longer want to deal with you. And again, this video isn't about me saying you're the one who did it wrong or they did it wrong or whatever the case may be. It's just understanding where that cold shoulder energy may come from. Because once Gemini has ceased to invite you into their mindset, once they no longer are bouncing ideas off you, they're not interested. Or some people, it's just they're not interested in your conversation anymore. Or maybe, you were talking, you guys, I don't know what people do these days. You're talking on Tinder, you were going back and forth, and then all of a sudden the person stops talking to you. Well, that could be a lot. A lot of people say that happens on these dating apps. But let's think about just the example I'm giving. They no longer are mentally stimulated, or you're no longer stimulated. Maybe you're the Gemini, and you're like, this person's boring me. We can't keep up a conversation, right? They don't understand what I'm talking about. They're not able to be quick enough to keep up with what I'm saying. That's boring to a Gemini energy person. And so that's sometimes what you can see. If the Gemini no longer shares important things about themselves with you, if they stop communicating. Now, people are able, let me be honest, I've had friends who are going through certain milestones in their lives, and I've been going through, and when I went through milestones in my lives, where maybe we didn't talk as much. So I would never be like, oh, my friend didn't text me back. No, she might be busy. We all live busy lives. We're adults. So, but if something that is usual stops happening, or a person doesn't connect back with you ever, right? Or you knew there was some type of consistency, then all of a sudden you see, wait. What I do like about Gemini, maybe it's just two Geminis I'm thinking of in particular, and maybe it's because they also have Venus and Taurus, is one thing I like about Gemini is they're so responsive sometimes. Now, you do have the ones who aren't. But the ones that I know, they're so responsive that, let's say, like, I text them and they don't text me back. Like, my one friend, she'll like, it'll be like a few days. She'll, oh, I'm sorry I didn't text you back. What's happening? And the other one, like, she'll do something similar. Like, oh, I'm sorry I didn't see this. Like, just that diplomacy. Like, Gemini cares about communication. They might sometimes, some of them, be all over the place. But at the end of the day, if they stop communicating with you, they're done for some reason. Cancer. So Cancer is interesting, where Cancer energy is very felt. If you have ever been around a Cancer individual, you can feel, and if you're sensitive yourself in terms of the sentiment, you can feel these people. You feel them. And you can know when they feel away and when they're mad or when they are happy, right? You can kind of sense that and feel that. Cancer is willing to care about what's going on with you. Cancer is willing to, in many ways, lend a certain level of sympathy to what's going on around you. Cancer is willing to care for you. And again, it could look different with the way a friend cares, or a sibling cares, or a romantic partner. Obviously, there's different ways in which that'll show up. When Cancer no longer gives you emotional support, when they no longer seek to ask how you are, When you're around a Cancer person and you think you're cool, and you're like, oh yeah, man, I'm sad, such and such has happened. And they don't offer to kind of bring you in and like, oh wait, let's talk about this. They no longer care. When they're no longer doing sentimental things for you, they don't care. Because it takes a lot for Cancer cardinal energy to stop caring. Because at the end of the day, it usually wants to. When Cancer wants to get an emotional reaction out of you, sometimes I've seen this. More so, I'm gonna be honest with you, 100% honest, and I'm not trying to be biased. I've seen this more in male Cancers than female Cancers, to be honest, but I'm sure it can be both. Some of you guys may have experience, I don't know. And again, I'm not bashing it. I'm Venus in Cancer myself. But sometimes you can see these people with Venus, not Venus, but Cancer energy. What you'll see is it's like when they want to get a reaction out of you. When they want to get a reaction out of you, but they're not directly saying anything because they want you to feel the way you made them feel. So it's different than, like I said, like an Aries is just going to leave you alone. You're no longer even on their destination spot. Bye. They don't, it's like going here, going tomorrow. It's cardinal fire. Bye. I got to go. Wrong. Bye. Cancer energy, it's like, remember, it's home, symbolic of home. So Cancer energy sometimes is a difficult time really letting go, even when they're mad and they're done with you. So with Cancer energy, it might not always feel like a clean cut, I'm done. We're done. I don't need this anymore. It can really come off as like they're intentionally trying to do something to make you feel whatever way they feel you've made them feel. And so you can sometimes see this layer of antics going on because they're trying to trigger an emotional reaction out of you. But that might feel very different than how they treated you before, where at its best, Cancer wants to connect with you. At its best, Cancer wants to be around you. At its best, Cancer cares and it invests emotionally in what you have going on. They are willing to nurture you and go nurture what's going on in your life as well. But when you start to notice they're doing things that are trying to upset you intentionally, usually there is a motive behind that. Now, do all Cancer people do this? No. That's why I said, like, and that's why I'm a real enough astrologer to tell you when something's from the book, because I love books, and I'll tell you, hey, this is a great person. I think everybody should read Marion March and Joan Evers. Yes. Like, that's an example of authors, right? I think everybody should read Stephen Forrest, right? But now I'm telling you what I've observed. In order for me to not come off biased, I'm just telling you this is what I've observed, and maybe you have seen different. I have seen a lot of this Cancer energy, sometimes more in male Cancers than female Cancers, but I've heard some people say this could be female Cancers as well. But that's just something that you will notice with the Cancer energy is I'm no longer emotionally supporting you, but I'm still trying to get a reaction out of you. But I'm done with you. But Cancer sometimes energy struggles with getting past the past. Leo. Well, when is a Leo energy person done with you? Leo is done. Well, one, Leo gonna try to overpower you before they're done. Okay, first of all, Leo's gonna show you, oh no, I'm running this. So sometimes you can see power moves with certain signs. Leo, Capricorn, maybe even Scorpio, and maybe Aries. Not as much. Like Aries is just gonna do what they want to do, and it can come off that way. But when Leo, it can be, the pride of Leo is like, oh, no. Before this is over, I'm going to show you who's boss energy. Now, again, that person may have a good reason for doing this. So this is not me judging them, judging the sign. This is what can come about. Leo. So Leo also, we have to understand this, the sun energy, being able to shine. Leo likes to shine on what it cares about in itself. So if you got a Leo friend, partner, sister, brother, you got to shout them out on their birthday. You have to make sure you pull up with a gift. You better go to that party because Leo wants to feel celebrated. Notice me. Acknowledge me. There's nothing wrong. A lot of people like celebrations. When the Leo person does not celebrate you anymore, that's a wrap. That's done. Because as much as people can say what they want to say about Leos, in my personal experience, and again, maybe just my experience, Leo, I've seen Leos do this to other people, be very generous with their time, with what they are giving these people. So yeah, you can sometimes say what you want to say about Leos, but there can be in many of them this generosity, spirit of generosity, especially the ones that have the Jupiter decan, right? Giving. Now, the issue though sometimes which comes with this is when Leo stops celebrating you. They didn't say happy birthday this year. They didn't go to your party. They didn't buy you anything. They didn't say Merry Christmas. They did not go to your baby shower. They are no longer excited to see you. If a Leo person stops being excited to see you, If that facial expression is not smiling, it's a wrap. Okay, it is over. If a Leo person if a Leo person doesn't smile when they see you, sometimes they just they may not like you, because for the most part Leo energy does kind of have that spirit to them where they want to be in the light most of the time. Then and again, it'll depend on the person, of course, and I'm not trying to pigeonhole everyone in one thing, but that's what you'll typically see. If they're no longer happy to see you or happy to be around you or celebrate you, they don't care that you have a milestone coming up, they don't care what's going on in your life, they no longer are happy for you. Because like sometimes if you tell a Leo something small and they're like, oh, that's great, right? Then they no longer do that. They no longer care. And again, maybe you'll never experience this because you're so great that this will never happen, or you're the Leo person. You're like, oh yeah, I have great relationships with people. I don't have to cut them off. But they might want to cut you off. And if a Leo's trying to cut you off, no, we're done. There's no more celebrating. I'm not giving any more of my light and my energy to you if I'm all of a sudden. And I'm not a Leo, but I'm a Mars Leo. So I get that energy of like, oh, no, we're cutting that off right now. I'm no longer celebrating you. I'm no longer, I'm not going to big you up. I'm not going to praise you because this is done. So that's something just to keep in mind. So, Virgo, the Virgos. Let me take a sip of water before I talk about the Virgos. I got insider information. Okay. What's done with you? They no longer care about making your life efficient or easier. And here's what I mean by Virgo. Virgo does like to be of assistance. Virgo does like to help. Virgo, you'll see Virgo tell their loved one, hey, remember to take your medicine. Remember to take your vitamins. I've seen it. That's how I am as a Virgo with my family. That's how my mom was as a Virgo with my dad, right? Virgos want you to be well. So they're going to give you tips, give you resources. At work, like a lot of times if people are asking me something, I'm going to help them practically, and I might, help them and show them. And then sometimes like people know they can come to me and I like, here's a resource, and here's a resource, and I'm going to email you this, I'm going to email you that. Yeah. Like, oh, I saw this too. This is something I used before, and email it, right? Virgos love to assist you in a certain way. That does not mean a Virgo is your assistant. It does not mean a Virgo loves to just serve you, right? It's not like Virgos are all servants. But Virgo likes to be of use. Virgo likes to make things better. And if I can give you something to make you better, why not? When a Virgo stops doing that, they no longer care. When they aren't checking up on you, they do not care. If a Virgo's family member or friend is getting important surgery, they're going to call you up and say, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? When a Virgo is no longer helping you with anything they were helping you with, they don't care. If you mention something and they don't offer a solution, the Virgo person no longer cares. It's over, or you've done something, or maybe they're in their moods. I don't know. But that's what you will typically see. Because for the most part, and it does take, Virgo also will get upset when it sees your patterns. So that's what I want us to understand. And I say this all the time. And one of my close coworkers and friends, she noticed this. She said, yeah, you're a patterns person. Because when I see a pattern in somebody, I now know this is who you are. I do think Virgos get more of the benefit of the doubt than Virgos get credit for, to be honest with you. And again, maybe it's just me. But I do think like it's a pattern. Say, wait a minute, you did this 3, 4, 5 times. Oh, this is who you are. Right? Because Virgo doesn't want to jump to conclusions. I think that's one thing you can say about that sign. Virgo doesn't want to jump to conclusions, but once they have the receipts, it's a wrap. And they're going to give you the receipts. Oh, yeah, and you did this on March 21st, 2020. And you did this on August 8th, 2016. And you did, Virgo's going to give you those receipts. So once Virgo no longer cares about you progressing, they no longer care about you bettering yourself. They no longer care about what you're doing, what you're into. They are no longer giving you advice. They no longer are there to practically help you. They're no longer giving you resources. They don't want to be used to you anymore. They don't want to help you anymore. They no longer are cooking dinner for you. Okay? Like you're in a relationship and this person likes to cook and they're done. They're done. It's it. It's a wrap. Even if it's your brother and sister, they usually order DoorDash and they get you some too. They don't get you some for a month. Oh, you need to figure out what's going on because there's an issue there. Because once Virgo stops doing these small things to make your life a little bit easier, they no longer care. And then, it's up to you if you want to repair that or not. Libra, you can get that when you push a sign enough, you can sometimes get the opposite sign in them. You sometimes will get that opposite sign energy in them. You push them hard enough. You push a Libra enough, You might feel like you're talking to an Aries sometimes, okay? Because if you making Libra mad, they no longer are trying to see your perspective. When Libra no longer cares about balancing with you, that's it. And that takes a lot for the Libra to even go through that process. So once Libra does not care to hear about what your side of something is, when Libra doesn't try to resolve the issues, it's a wrap. Okay. Now, sometimes you'll say, well, it's harder for Libra to sometimes be that direct with certain things. Now, again, it depends on the decan and all those other aspects and the degrees with Libra, to be honest, because Libra is a cardinal sign. So at its best, Libra is able to deliberate. It is. But with Libra, once Libra no longer is trying to smooth things over with you, they're done giving you the benefit of the doubt. They are done hearing your side of the story. They don't wish to they don't wish to move on with you anymore, or they don't care about the harmony anymore. It's like, I've been through this for so many years, I'm done. You've pushed the Libra over the limit. You keep coming back to someone and they accept you, and then that one time they don't. That means that they're done. They're seriously done. And when you have pushed them in that way, it is harder to get back into their good graces because you already have broken this kind of balance that Libra values so much. So that is something to notice when Libra energy is done with you and they no longer reciprocate anymore. You've been calling them 2 times, they don't call you back. Or you're gifting them things and they're not doing it back. They are highly upset. Right? So when Libra stops trying to connect with you, relate to you, and ask you what's going on, in a way similar to Gemini, but Gemini, it's more the constant communication just kind of cuts off. With Libra, it's they no longer care to understand you. They don't want to understand you anymore. They're not trying to get in your mind anymore. They're not trying to be fair anymore. When Libra stops being fair with you, there literally is probably an issue or a reason why. And now you have kind of broken that balance. And it is kind of difficult to get back on Libra's side after that. You could have Libra people who let people back in, but if you have pushed them past their comfort zone and now they have to be, because most Libra individuals, I know sometimes some of y'all are like, okay, well, is that passive energy? Or it's really that Libra they don't care to be involved in the drama. Now, some can play nice guy, nice girl too much, where it's like, no, Libra, say what you need to say, right? Like, no, Libra, be direct, right? But some Libras are rather direct, but again, that's the decan Libra. You have to look at the decan, the degree, the house, all of that. So, but once they no longer care, that's it. They don't want to relate to you anymore. They don't care about what you have going on. They're no longer care about being fair in a relationship. Oh yeah, that's it. Scorpio. So, I said similar to Aries, which also is ruled by Mars, but then we know Scorpio has that Pluto energy. Now, Scorpio they can appear like Aries, and again, this is if they are mad at you, if they are done with you, they don't want to be around you anymore, and maybe they have a good reason why. They can somehow be like Aries with cutting off contact. It's done. It's a wrap. I've seen Scorpio do that. They cold turkey. But the difference is Aries knows how to do that and go about their way. Okay. Scorpio can sometimes harbor things. I said the same thing about Cancer. But with Scorpio, I'm harboring this feeling, but I also need to still control this situation. So sometimes you can get Scorpio energy still in some way trying to get a rise out of you, or the Scorpio energy person is still in some way trying to control the situation, control the narrative, control what's going on, right? So let's say you have a breakup and you're done, right? You're done. You don't want to be with this person anymore. But then you'll see, you want to do something with Scorpio, like, okay, I need to come pick my clothes up. And Scorpio is like, I'm going to make this difficult for you. Oh yeah, I'm going to make this difficult. Nope, can't do that time. Nope. Well, I'm going on vacation, so you're just going to come. And then you're like, well, can you just let me in? Can I just use my key? No, I changed the locks. So a lot of times it will be this push-pull energy. Now, again, this is if they are done with you and they choose to respond this way. This is not saying every single Scorpio. This, though, is a kind of typical energy when someone's done. Maybe they have a reason for doing that. Maybe they don't trust you in their house. So I'm not saying a person's wrong for reacting this way. I'm saying this is how you know if they're kind of done with you. They're making things more complicated for you. Okay, Scorpio is going to complicate, Virgo too. Virgo can complicate stuff too. because they're going to stop making things easy for you. They're going to start, whatever. But I just talked about Virgo. Scorpio is going to make things more difficult for you. You're going to feel like they're trying to control situations a little bit more. But really, what they're trying to do is they're trying to, in a way, make you feel a certain way that helps them release some of their anger, right? Because we're dealing with Mars, we're dealing with Pluto here. So when they're done with you, before Scorpio can completely let go, they kind of have to sting you and let you know, like, I'm not cool with what you did, or I'm not cool with you. But it's hard for me to let go. Because Scorpio in their mind is like, I chose this person. I chose you. And you betrayed me, or I chose you, but I ended up being wrong. And how did I not trust my gut instincts? So before they actually let you go, it's similar. The warrior energy is going to kind of, it's hard for them to just let you go. So with Scorpio, you're going to know they're done when they start making life way more complicated for you. Because Virgo's going to stop doing stuff for you, as I said earlier. They're going to stop making your life more effective, more efficient, easier. You're going to stop in that way, tasks and things that make your life flow. Scorpio is going to make things a little bit more difficult before they completely let go of you. So it can feel like you've been entangled for a while with this. It can feel like, wait a minute, we've been together for such and such years and I'm done. We've been done. But this person is dragging out this divorce. Like, what is going on? So it's like it's hard for them to let go. But what you'll notice is the same intensity they had when they were loving you, the same intensity they had when they were there for you, the same intensity your relative had when they were helping you out through college, that same dedication is still dedicated, but it's dedicated to making things more difficult. So you can sometimes get those things like, well, pay me back for everything. Oh yeah, pay me back. Pay me back for everything that I bought you, right? So that's if the person decides to go that route. Now, what about Sagittarius? If Sagittarius is done with you, gosh, Sag is legendary, okay? If Sagittarius is mad at you, one, with this fire sign energy, you're going to know, okay? Like I said, with fire, you're going to know because the Aries is going to drop you. Aries is on their own. They're not involving you in anything anymore. They're moving on to the next situation. They're no longer invested in that. They don't care. They're not thinking about that. They're on to the next situation. And you know what I said about Leo in terms of Leo's going to stop celebrating you. So you're going to see it. Sag is intellectual fire. Now, does that mean every single Sag is a prophet? No, that's not what I'm saying. But some Sagittarius have a really high philosophical nature. Some of them do. I'm a moon Sag, so I rep the Sag a little bit. But Sag is going to be petty. When Sagittarius is done with you, they're going to tell the truth about you. And it's going to be things that may hurt a little bit. Now, the thing is with Sag, it is going to depend on the placement of the person and some other things. If the person is like, look, I just got to get this off my chest, they might tell you in private. Like, I'm a type person, I'm a moon in Sag, 4th house, private. I'm a pretty private person. I'm going to tell you how I feel directly to your face if I need to, okay? I'm not going to go on Twitter or go on social media and tell my business. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell your business unless it's something safety. There's like, if someone's unsafe, if someone, if something is a safety issue, you might have to tell people, right? But with Sag energy, it's some of them are going to tell the world the truth. Those people that go on those rants on social media telling their partner's business, it's even dumber when you do that and you get back with them, right? You just told the whole world how bad this person is or what they did, then you get back with them a month later. That's a problem. And some Sag, like some people can get caught up in very toxic relationships like that, to be honest. But with Sag, it's when they're mad at you, they're all of a sudden going to, one, the generosity stops. One, the joy stops, the optimism, the happiness to see you is done. Because like I said, a lot of times fire energy, especially the Leos and Sag, you see it in them when they're happy to see you. You can tell. But when Sag is done with you, there is no more. They're not pouring into you anymore. They're not in any way trying to uplift you, make you feel better, give you any level of, appreciation and optimism. You know, sometimes a Sag energy person, like they're kind of, some can be kind of upbeat. Always saying something to kind of keep you moving, right? But when all of a sudden they don't care about what you have going on, they don't care about you joining them in anything. They don't care about you going on that trip with them. They don't care about you doing certain things to further your life. When they stop caring about your dreams and your aspirations, that typically means a Sagittarius person no longer is really invested and interested in you, right? Because typically Sag is such a worldly energy, kind of, you know how Gemini wants to know everybody's business. Sag wants to know what you're doing with your life. It's not much they want to know your business. They want to know what you're doing because this is fire energy and this is action. But the biggest thing I would say with Sag is they don't have a filter anymore. They're not holding back. They're telling you everything they think and feel about you. And it can be brutal sometimes with some Sag energy people. It might hurt your feelings the way in which some might come at you. They're going to tell you completely what they have to get off their mind. And if they've been holding anything back for years, you're going to hear it all. Okay. So, Sag is going to not have that filter anymore that some Sagittarius have to work on. They know they have to work on their filter. They know, like, ooh, I can some Sagittarius can get a lot up from that cursing, right? Like it just comes out. So when Sag is no longer interested in you, they're going to, reveal a lot of your truths. They're going to reveal a lot of your truths. They're going to stop investing in what you want to do in your life. And by investing, it doesn't have to be monetarily, but sometimes it just means, how encouraging you, that optimistic nature, that Sag energy doesn't have those restrictions. You get what I'm saying? They're not, but also they're no longer intrigued by you anymore. They're no longer interested in you anymore. They don't ask you what you have going on in your life. Similar to the opposite sign, Gemini, right? So they're no longer, asking you things about what's going on or communicating with you. With Sag, I no longer care what you're doing. I no longer care what your goals are, your aspirations. I'm not worried about you. I'm not thinking about you. I don't even like you. I haven't liked you since such and such. Like they're gonna go off. So with the Sag, you might get a more direct understanding if they're done with you than some other signs. You're just might going to get a little bit of more direct energy there. Okay. And you might have to tell everybody they're done with you. Sag might, you have those type of Sag people. They're just, I'm telling everybody what you did. And then I'm done. But the thing that I would say is it does depend on the placements. Like I said, if you have Sag in a private house, you're not going to tell all your business. You might tell that person directly to their face what you think. If the situation calls for it. Capricorn, if Capricorn is done with you, you're no longer a part of their big plan. You are no longer a part of their goals. They no longer care to invite you in something. Let's say you work for a Capricorn boss and you work for, I don't know, some type of, law firm. Okay. And there's been issues back and forth. You guys never really got along, but you would get cases. But then he hired two other people, or he or she, whatever, hired two other people to the firm. And then all of a sudden you start to realize you don't get any work anymore. You don't get any work. You don't get any cases anymore. Or they're putting you as an assistant on someone else's case. The Capricorn no longer sees you as a part of the bigger picture, the part of the bigger plan. They're trying to ice you out. Capricorn will ice you out quick when it's done, when they're done with you. It can feel like a cold energy. That's because Saturn rules that sign, and Saturn can easily say, here's my limitation. I'm done. It is what it is. It's like a computer system. You know how a computer's just going to spit out yes or no, or a computer's just going to give you whatever's programmed in it. That's it. So with Capricorn, even in a relationship, you start to see a different side of them when they no longer need you anymore. Okay. And then Capricorn also, when they're done with you, what you're going to start to see is there's going to start to be a disassociation from how you have in any way contributed to the relationship or the situation at hand, right? With Capricorn being done, remember, Capricorn is a sign associated with tradition, doing things the right way, the process. That is by default. But when Capricorn starts to do things in a very messy way, like, wait a minute, you've been married to that person for 10 years and they've never stayed out all night. And all of a sudden they start staying out all night. Or wait, your Capricorn, your Capricorn brother always helps you out with your mortgage because he cares about his nieces and nephews. And then he stops because you guys had an argument about something small 2 months ago, but you didn't realize it was that big. But now you see, like, wait, so when Capricorn stops doing something it used to do that added to something big, when Capricorn starts getting a little bit messy, because that's typically not a Capricorn thing to be messy, but there is a shadow side to all signs, and I have the shadow sign video. So when Capricorn stops being responsible there for you or doing things to help you or inviting you in the bigger picture process of things, when Capricorn no longer needs you or when Capricorn no longer feels that you are a part, you're following a certain protocol, they're done. They're done. And you're going to see it's like, it feels messy. And you're like, wait, they're usually on point. They're usually on time. they're usually doing exactly what they're supposed to do. There's usually something else in the picture, okay? And that could be the argument, that could be another person, it could be a situation at hand, whatever it is. That is how you will know when Capricorn is done with you. Things don't feel structured anymore. They stop their routine, they stop doing the things they usually would do for you and with you, and all of a sudden it starts to feel a little bit messy. And that's not like Capricorn typically. Like Capricorn, whatever you feel about it, typically you know what to expect because Capricorn is invested in something that is going to last. Capricorn is investing in preserving things the way that they are because it's like we can trust that. But that's what usually can happen with that sign. Now, Aquarius. Well, when Aquarius is done, as you know, there could be a lot of stereotypes about Aquarius being detached a little bit. When Aquarius is done, they simply will no longer find that you're in any way a part of their group. They might ice you out from the group. There could be activities you'd like to do together, no longer doing it. It's like that joke of when someone watches your husband or wife or your partner, watches the Netflix show without you. That's captures the whole essence of an Aquarius breakup. They could. Now, again, what I would say about Aquarius is great with influencing groups in terms of mindset. But what sometimes can happen, especially when Aquarius is mad, is that energy can lack social grace. And I'm not saying this to rag on Aquarius. I don't have any predominant Aquarius energy, but I do like my Jupiter in Aquarius sign. But you will notice they don't know how to properly end things with you. So sometimes it will feel like a complete abandonment because Aquarius, one, ruled by Uranus, sudden change, and Saturn, limitation, restriction. So with those two planets ruling Aquarius, when Aquarius is no longer seeing something is moving forward, this is not moving forward. This is not interesting. This is too limiting, especially if they feel like the relationship is too stifling and they're no longer into you. You might just notice they no longer appear to be at least trying to have a good level of partnership or communication with you. You can get more sarcastic comments. Aquarius is good with that. But again, I like it. I know a lot of Aquariuses. And one of my closest friends is an Aquarius. I like, but when the relationship is over, that is no longer fun, witty, snarky sarcasm. They're being sarcastic. It might come across as rude. They might come across even as critical in a certain way. It might come across as them trying to get you to detach from them. I'm going to be as rude to you as possible to get you to get off me, get away from me, is what you can sometimes anticipate. Now, again, I'm not saying everyone is this mean. I'm not saying everyone is going to do things like this, but I am talking about this is some subtle signs of when they're no longer interested at all. Let's say you have a common group of friends. They start going out with the friends without you. They go on missions without you. They start doing things. They start dedicating themselves to certain things, and they don't tell you they did that. Oh yeah, I joined an adult soccer league. Oh yeah, I joined this group. Oh yeah, I joined this committee. And it's like, oh, you didn't tell me. Because typically the Aquarius energy person gets excited being a part of a group, being a part of something, and being able to share those things. And so, you can. I mean, I think with both Capricorn and Aquarius, it depending on the person, y'all, the person, don't freak out. It could be a level of cruelty as well in how they go about treating you when they're done. Because again, because of the planets that rule Aquarius, it can be a quick detachment. I'm no longer going to pretend. I'm no longer going to try. Right? You can have a Libra be a little bit indifferent to you, but not necessarily cruel. But with Aquarius, you literally can get that you're no longer something I want to invest in. Go run along type of energy. And they detach from you, especially when they find you're not going along with the program. Sometimes Aquarius energy detaches from people that they feel like, oh no, I can't influence you, or no, you're not down with my ideas. I'm no longer, we're no longer in this situation. Could they be direct about it? Would you say Aquarius would be direct? Yeah. I think if you ask Aquarius, are we still involved? Are we cool? I think they will be direct about it. But I do think that sometimes Aquarius energy can not really truly fully be aware of the emotional impact of other people, especially if this is a person with a lot of Aquarian energy and they're not used to dealing with the emotions. So it can come off to you as disassociation. Can come off to you as like they're not trying to even understand where I'm coming from. It can come off to you like they're literally just cutting the cord and they're just done. Pisces, lastly, how would you know if a Pisces person may no longer be into you? Well, Pisces energy is the king queen energy of evasion, escapism. So when Pisces, and it can be such a contrast to Pisces really indulging in you and really telling you how much you mean to them and really telling you how happy they are to have you in their life and how much they just say all the sweet, nice things. But if they are done with you for whatever reason, whether it's your fault or their fault, you could tend to see a situation where they're gone. They're nowhere to be. They're nowhere to be found. They probably the term ghosting is probably after Pisces, probably Aquarius too. Probably Aries. I don't know. Let me stop there because I hate when people assign everything to all the signs. But yeah, the reason I said ghosting the Pisces is because of the escapism factor. You're no longer needed in this capacity because I don't feel that you are what I am, what I want. Pisces can sometimes be. Remember what I said about needed with the Virgo? Remember, it's the opposite sign. The thing with Pisces is Pisces energy can sometimes really idealize relationships. Now, let's say there's a person with a lot of Pisces energy in the chart. You see something, you like something, there's something about that person that draws you in, but something is not enough. One thing about a person, two things about a person is not enough to keep a relationship going, typically, especially the further you get involved. So sometimes the Pisces person, once they realize that, now Virgo is going to work to improve it. Like if a Virgo cares and if the person cares, a Virgo might try to resolve the issue in the moment. Let's talk about this. I might need to clarify some things. Pisces is, I don't see the thing that I was attracted to. I don't see what I wanted. I don't see that spark anymore. Wow, that was an illusion. Even though Pisces, y'all know about illusions, okay? So that can lead the person to be evasive, okay? They're no longer supporting your dreams. Pisces is over you. Pisces wants to always feel understood. Pisces typically is willing to be empathetic, but when they're no longer into you or you have done something to upset them, you could see Pisces no longer is caring about what you're doing. You know, you call someone up, oh yeah, I just worked on this new art painting or something like that. And Pisces doesn't ask to see it, right? And they always cared about seeing your work. Or something, you're going through a tough time and Pisces does not offer to be a listening ear. They don't, and some people, some Pisces are self-aware enough to know they need to cut you off. So this video is not about saying they're wrong, you're wrong. I'm just saying this is what you can see. These are the hard truths. When a sign is no longer interested in you, and again, by sign, it could be the moon. If a person has a predominant moon, right? If the person's moon is their chart ruler, if a person is more connected to their Mercury, whatever it is that the person is, you could also look at the chart ruler for this, right? This is what you're going to tend to see. So when Pisces is no longer invested in your dreams, when Pisces no longer is being empathetic, when Pisces is done with you, you have typically hurt them. You have hurt them and they have to go. They have to leave. When you hurt Pisces energy, they can't be around you anymore. Now, you can have some that stay around for long-term suffering, right? You do have the Pisces people who stay along to suffer something. You know, it's like, you don't have to do that. But the ones who are self-aware may not want you around anymore. They know there's too much at risk if they continue to let someone in their life who is going to hurt them and who is going to be negative or is going to be unsupportive or someone who is going to be cruel. Pisces, Neptune doesn't like cruelty. So once they see that possibility, if the person is aware, and if they are an evolved Pisces person, they're going to cut you off or cut someone off because they see this person is not good for my mental and spiritual well-being. So that's it for this video. Please hit the like button if you liked it. Feel free to drop a comment if you resonate with any of this. Again, we don't do the bashing on my channel, so it's not a bashing video, but just trying to get some insight into how we can tell these types of tips if a sign is no longer invested in us, or we are no longer invested in someone else. This is the traits that we may show.